world we now live in is incredibly energy oriented. Everything from the dishwashers to cars to even vacuuming your house requires energy. Did you know that 85% of the world's energy comes from fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas? Unfortunately, by burning these fossil fuels, we inject about 23 billion tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Only 50% of that is absorbed by trees, grass, and plants. The other half significantly alters the composition of our atmosphere and can cause global warming. Our solution is nuclear energy. What is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is the energy produced in a nuclear reaction, which can be through nuclear fission or fusion. The process of getting nuclear energy is a neutron is sent to hit a uranium atom. The uranium atom then splits and releases heat as energy when it splits. The heat is then used to boil water and convert the water into steam. Once steam is produced, the steam then turns the turbines, and the turbines, when turned, generate electricity. What are some pros for nuclear energy that are environmentally beneficial? It's lower greenhouse gases, geographical advantage, and it's a concentrated form of energy. Clean air. When a coal plant produces energy, it burns fossil fuels. These fossil fuels are then release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which can cause global warming. However, if there's a nuclear plant, there's virtually no carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, and that is helpful against global warming. Nuclear power plants also aid compliance with the Clean Air Act of 1970, which sets standards to improve the nation's air quality. Efficient use of land space. Compared to wind farms and even some solar panels, nuclear power plants do not need such restrictions. If you want a wind farm, you have to have a lot of wind farms built, there has to be constant wind, and a lot of restrictions to make sure it's used effectively. A nuclear plant does not follow these same restrictions. To add on, if this was a map of a wind farm, you can see that there are many wind turbines that are needed, and this takes a lot more money, and it also takes a lot of space, which isn't really effective. But just one nuclear plant is equal to more than 2,000 wind farms in terms of electricity generated. This shows that nuclear is not only much more efficient, it's also more effective because it produces more. Greenhouse gases also decrease if nuclear power plants are used. Right now, the world mainly depends on coal power plants, and they release a lot of carbon dioxide, which causes global warming, as you can see. However, if a nuclear power plant is used consistently throughout the world, then the carbon dioxide that is put into the atmosphere will decrease by a lot, and there's going to be much less global warming. Waste reduction and recycling. Nuclear power plants do produce very dangerous, toxic chemical waste. However, you can reuse the uranium until it cannot be used anymore, so you're effectively following the 3 R's, which are reduce, reuse, and recycle. You can keep reusing the uranium, and it's much more environmentally friendly that way because the time it takes for it to decompose significantly decreases. As technology advances, there might just be a way to completely destroy the chemical waste that is produced. There are many economical benefits to using nuclear energy as a power source. It's more cost effective than oil and coal, it adds to the economy, it adds jobs, and lastly, it also benefits other industries. Nuclear power plants are much more efficient. If this is a graph which shows cents per kilowatt hours for the different methods of energy production, you will see that nuclear is by far the smallest. It requires 1.7 cents per kilowatt hours compared to coal requiring 2.4 cents per kilowatt hours, natural gas taking 6.7, and oil taking 10.2. It's the cheapest by far. Nuclear power plants also add to the economy. Did you know to make one nuclear power plant it's an investment of $6 to $8 billion? If you hire local workers, that money will basically come back and help you. And the energy generated in 1 year is equivalent to $470 million. So if you build a nuclear power plant in a couple of years, in say 10 to 15 years, all the money that you invested will come back. Nuclear power plants also add to the economy because to build a nuclear power plant, you need a lot of workers. If you hire local workers, you're generating almost $40 million in labor income. That's a lot of money. And that is just one more way that nuclear power plants help make money. It also makes the people that are working happy. It also creates many jobs. To keep one nuclear power plant going, you need around 400 to 700 jobs that are created, and they will stay for a very long time because they have to make sure the plant can keep going. And they also get paid 36% more than the average salary. In order to create a nuclear power plant, construction needs more than 3,500 workers that can vary in their professions. These include masons, pipe fitters, engineers, insulators, electricians, and iron workers. This shows that it's a wide range of jobs, and if all of these are taxed, it's a lot more money. The benefits other industries as well, because in order to create one, you need a lot of steel and concrete. And not only steel and concrete, but you also need more than 100 other commodities to build one, which generates a lot more money. Nuclear power plants also help us to not be dependent on politically unstable countries that are constantly fighting over oil. There could be a war going on, and what that could do is it can make the cost increase, it could be inaccessible sometimes, and there can be a constant price fluctuation. However, if it's in our own country, then there's going to be more jobs, there's going to be more safety for the economy, and there's also going to be more money to the economy. There are also many social benefits to using nuclear power plants. Did you know that nuclear power plants save lives? They prevented more than 1.8 million deaths, and they're the last energy units produced for deaths. You might be wondering, how do nuclear power plants save people? Because whenever there's a nuclear meltdown, a lot of people die. It's actually a lot like an airplane versus a car. An airplane has one big accident, lots of people die at once, but it's very rare, so it's pretty safe. Compared to a car where there's lots of small accidents, very less people die, but it's very frequent, so in the long run, you have a lot more deaths with cars. And cars are basically coal, airplanes are basically nuclear power plants. If you were to look at this information on a pie graph, you'd see that nuclear is ranked the last in terms of people killed per energy unit produced, and it's also estimated to save 7 million more lives.
Some fun facts about nuclear energy include that nuclear energy powers Mars rovers in space. The largest nuclear reactor is the Sun, as it converts hydrogen into helium. There have been 3 major disasters in nuclear energy history, while in the past 25 years there has been 10 major fossil fuel disasters.